In the slide sets for this week's topic on branding, you'll see two slides there that speak to issues of brand preservation and brand extension. Brand preservation is a basic problem when you've got a strong brand. People like your brand, you sell more and more of your product. Sounds like a great deal, right? But as your product becomes ever more popular, ever more widely seen, if you've decided to, in some sense, premium price your brand, speaking to the attribute of exclusiveness, for example, then there's a danger that the very success in terms of having people like your product, want your product, buy your product, and then very publicly show your product will reduce the perceived exclusiveness of it in the first place. So effectively the success of your brand diminishes the quality of your brand over time. So there's a huge strategic dilemma for particularly brands that are positioned in some sense an exclusive way. How do you maintain that exclusiveness, that sense of rarity, okay, and desirability, while of course being attracted to the natural desire to monetize as much as possible the brand equity you've got? This leads to a broader discussion in business about what are the dynamics for brand extension, which is the second slide we've got there that I've just referenced to. So when you have a strong brand, it's always tempting to extend your brand into new product spaces. Now, this may be in a collaborative fashion. It may be through licensing your brand into new markets. We see fashion brands, for example, very often extend their brand into perfume, into accessories, into shoes. Ones I've got in the notes, for example, I speak about very strong brands which are tied to shoes. Todd's, Onitsuka Tiger, both have moved into related products. So Todd's have initially moved, understandably because of the leather goods nature of what they make, into handbags, for example, and have extended the brand into some other areas as well, some clothing lines. Onitsuka Tiger very much so have extended their brand into clothing wares. And there is a certain rationale because Onitsuka Tiger, for example, has a very distinct aesthetic, very retro, mid-60s or at least 60s and 70s kind of feel, very artisanal as well, and selectively extending that into a clothing line is tempting and potentially logical from a customer's point of view, but there's always a danger that the brand becomes too ubiquitous. Where do you stop doing this? Particularly when every single incremental extension of the brand leads to short-term successes, more revenues, for example. Now I'm going to dip into my bag and show, oops, my bag just fell over, excuse me. Not sure if I'll edit this out. I think I tend to go one cut, one shoot straight away. Some of you may know these kind of publications. Dream Navi. Mirai no Rida ni Hitsuyo na. Can't say that. Okay, Yotsuya Otsuka. Anyway, so many of you have been had this inflicted upon you. Okay, so what have we got here? Now, for some of you, this will resonate very well because you've come through Waseda schools. Okay, Waseda Daigaku 目指す。中高大、一貫教育。Believe that when I see it, but anyway, given that we have no cohering curriculum concept even at the faculty level, but anyway, one day we might get there, the high schools and the middle schools as well. Now, Waseda is a classic example of brand extension. Waseda, of course, is very famous as a university, but then decided to forward integrate into its market. And Waseda itself, here in this promotion, we can hold this up here, they give guidance, and this is actually advertising a session. Ooh, sorry, waving this around in front of the camera. This is advertising a session for people to come along and actually get kind of one-stop information on all the different schools that we've got on offer here and the different entry points. Okay. Now, interesting issues arise when you think about a premium university brand extending into the schools. historically, the reverse happened. A bunch of successful schools, when they realized that demand for universities was growing, also created universities. That's a very logical thing to do. Why go the other way into schools? Well, one argument could be that it saves on recruitment efforts, that if you've got schools, you can recruit students directly. So it reduces some of the uncertainty in the market that you're forward integrating into your recruitment channels, so to secure students. But here's a basic paradox with that. If your brand is really strong as a university, you shouldn't need that forward integration in the first place. Generally, we find that any kind of forward integration normally happens when you have a weaker brand, and where the, say, the educational institution is worried that students might not come through to the university, particularly if it's a shrinking market, and so therefore they want to ease the path into the university. Now, there are many ways you can do this without running the business yourself, of course. You can just have sisen maku, so introductions, recommendation-based system, and we do that as well too. What is possibly another explanation is a very strong sense of mission. A university, for example, has an educational mission, and this is kind of how we're presenting this, spinning this, shall we say? Presenting it is a nice way to say it, shall we say? People looking at this video and getting annoyed with me. Anyway, if we have a very distinctive educational philosophy, it might make a lot of sense to extend into the school space to try and prepare students earlier on, inculcate them into a particular set of values, a mindset that we want students to bring into Waseda University as a capstone experience. And we do see this in some university systems abroad, where religious institutions have been strong investors in schooling and university. For example, in Spain, a long tradition of the Catholic Church being involved in university higher education, similarly in countries that had very secular states, but also had Catholic communities such as Italy and Belgium and whatnot. So in the Waseda case, I'm not sure. I mean, do we have a very distinctive educational ethos that is extended into the schools? Maybe for those folks who went to one of the Waseda schools, you're in a much better position to answer that than I am. I know at the university level, just having a debate about a common curriculum concept is quite a challenge. So it does raise some questions. An alternative explanation, I'm not sure if this is true for Waseda, is that expansion is just tempting. You know, you've got the brand and people like to make things, they like to move into a new space. There may be some strategic rationale, for example, if you want to project your brand into regions which have historically been not so strong for Waseda, arguably with, say, Saga, that might be the case, that perhaps students are less represented from Kyushu, and perhaps Waseda has less standing in Kyushu, so maybe this is a way of boosting our brand. But we can always contest whether it's actually logical to engage in those forward integration moves precisely when your brand is so strong. Anyway, in any industry, you're going to have this dilemma of just how far do you go in making the most of your existing brand and move into new spaces. Now, of course, Waseda, like lots of other universities with a loyal alumni, we have Waseda Goods and we have a Waseda Shop and all the rest of it. So I've been thinking, I decided to do a few prototypes and just to see what you think, maybe as a conversation starter, to see about new product lines that Waseda could move into. Okay? Well, first of all, I thought with the universities, you know, we want to take the measure of you, take the measure of your capabilities. So why not have a Waseda measuring tape? Okay, look at that. It's got a Waseda bear and a Waseda brand on it. We can take the measure of your academic capabilities. Naka naka nobinai na. Oh, maybe that's not a good bit of imagery for Waseda. Okay. Now I was thinking, well, we're into sustainability now, and Japan obviously, you know, has lots of problems with underperformance of its regions economically. So maybe Waseda should simultaneously be concerned with sustainable lifestyle, sustainable regions. Maybe we should reach out and collaborate. Maybe with Northgil, for example, we could do something. So here's the first of my prototypes. What do you think? We've had the Waseda water. You all know the Waseda water. How about the Waseda carrot? Would that work for you? Look at that. We've even got the bear. There's a bear there. Okay. The Waseda carrot. You know, Waseda, it's hard like a carrot. Okay. Get it into you. Oh, no, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Okay. But then again, we need a distinctive sills experience. I don't know. Do we really want to depict sills as hard? Is sills hard? Maybe it's harder than we should be. I don't know. Maybe it's not as hard as we should be. This has got me wondering. Okay, so I had another idea. How about the School of International Liberal Studies, Waseda University, Torfur? It's kind of, you know, soft and forgiving and rather white, like me. Ooh. No, I'm not sure that works. Okay. Anyway, so maybe some of you thinking, Waseda, yeah, okay, I don't know. Maybe they have to get a bit hard. Maybe you have to reach out to the world of makers and Japanese monozukuri and get back to the you know, the spirit of Japanese manufacturing and making things, the thing that made Japan so strong abroad. So here's an idea. What do you think of a Waseda screwdriver? Okay, even we've got a bit of a bear here. Okay, is that going to work? If you think Waseda has screwed you, then this is just what you need. Come to think of it, Waseda might screw me for making a video like this. Anyway, my conclusion is probably the best thing to do is just do what we already do. Sell these little stickers. Okay, you get these little Waseda stickers, and then you can just brand extend Waseda to whatever you want. Okay, so you can Waseda University your computer, you can Waseda University your bottle of beer. No, you can't do that if you're under 20. You can Waseda University whatever you want. Okay, so anyway, I've got some of these. So students who come up with interesting suggestions on Waseda brand extension, I'll give you a free Waseda sticker. There you go. Everyone's a winner at Waseda. Lucky you. And I fear I really am screwed with this video. Thank you.